Mitski is an indie musician who's been making music since 2012, her first album being Lush and her most recent being The Land Is Inhospitable and So Are We. Whether you found Mitski earlier in her career or maybe through TikTok's algorithmic persistence, I'd hedge the bet that 90% of you don't know what the this video's title is referencing. I think I encountered this topic myself on her subreddit a few years ago. This is a really weird, interesting, confusing story that I feel hasn't been put chronologically before in a video format, so I just wanted to do that today. I'm going to be relying heavily on this NME article for this video, and you can find the link to that in the description, probably the first link, if you want to check any of this out for yourself and fact check me. I'm going to have to use my laptop for this next portion because, as you can see, it's a very long post and I don't have the capacity to remember all that and read it, so apologies for the lack of eye contact. The allegations made on Tumblr of child sex and abuse against me are completely false in every respect. I don't know the accuser and I don't know how or why they have come to associate me with their trauma. I have not ever been part of sex or in any form. I initially did not acknowledge the allegations because I feared bringing harm to a person who may be struggling with mental health, either by drawing further attention to them or by involving myself and thereby giving reality to their claims. I hope those of you on the internet treat them with kindness and compassion, and I truly hope they find the help they need. But it became clear that I needed to address this after learning from a child survivor that, because of these false and conflicting accounts, incredibly harmful misinformation about the reality of child is being propagated, and existing survivors are being triggered and re-traumatized by the continued and confusing discourse, which I am hoping to bring an end to by responding here. I am also motivated to make this statement because my family has somehow been falsely accused of being involved alongside me. And for their sake, I need to make it absolutely clear that these accusations are false. They do not deserve any of this. Again, these allegations are not true. There is clear and overwhelming evidence that they are unfounded, that is easily corroborated many times over. This pains me to say because we should continue to practice believing in victims, and I hope that survivors out there are not discouraged to come forward with their own experiences because of this instance. Thank you, Mitski. So what happened here? On the 10th of August 2019, a Mitski user who we're just going to refer to as Jane for the sake of this video posted the following. Mitski is a p***. Do not support her, do not listen to her music, do not go to her show, she is a child predator. DM me for more details. I was sexually child and I was groomed by her starting around age 11. Visited her, was trafficked her multiple times, at least 2 while she studied at Purchase Conservatory of Music. Our last contact, including me being by Mitski, was in 2015 after a show of Elvid Depressedly in Memphis. So I'm not sure if this is like technically chronologically the next part of the story, but it logically follows because it's essentially an elaboration of her initial allegation, which we just read. To find this, I had to use the Tumblr archive, which I've never used before in my life, so I wasn't really sure how to fact check whether this is what technically came next. And also the Tumblr archive says that this was posted by Jane on the same blog, but again, I'm not really sure how to corroborate that, so you're just gonna have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. Again, massive chunky allegations, so I'll be looking at the laptop, sorry. I will try to sum up my experiences of by her as adequately as I can, but as a forewarning, I was around 10, maybe 11, when the abuse from her first started. I was raised by 2 pedophiles and my family operated within a larger ring. They sold me for child prostitution, where usually child is created. I was advertised on deep web markets and through in-person connections. I don't know for sure how my family met the Miyawaki/Laycock family, but one possibility is that my uncle may have met Mitsuki's father during his time in the armed forces. Part of the traffic was using fake identities, documents such as birth certificates, academic records, etc. The first time I remember meeting Mitski was in New York, possibly at an airport. Her mother and father were there. I was told that I had to go under an assumed name while I was with them by my parents and hers. I believe the name was Hunter, but it doesn't really matter. The way my family explained this situation to me was that she was my distant relative who I'd be staying with for a while. Mitsuki later explained that wasn't true. She was in college at the time at the Purchase Music Conservatory. I spent a few weeks with her, I believe, on this first occasion of meeting with her. My memories are hazy, but I stayed part of the time in a home and a lot of the time in the dorms at her college with her. She immediately began grooming me, flirting with me, holding my hand, giving me alcohol. She gave me alcohol often. She told me that she could teach me about sex by showing me, but that nobody was to find out because she could get in trouble for it and it would ruin her chances of a music career. I did not understand the secrecy and did not recognise this as abuse, but because all of the other abuse I ever faced was very forceful and violent, including abuse from my father, whom I believe is or was in the Navy. Anyways, the first sexual from her was her touching me and her instructing me how to perform all on her. The mental abuse went along with it. She told me that this wasn't rape because we were in love and I liked it. She began calling herself my girlfriend. Again, I was like 10, maybe 11. The rapes happened many more times in a 3-week span, but again, I just thought, oh, this is sex with my girlfriend who says she loves me. It wasn't until years later I was fully able to recall this and see it for what it was. Just to clarify, I'm not sure if this is what follows that because it seems a little bit disjointed, but this is what was on the archive, so sorry. There might be a little bit missing, I'm not really sure. I went to someone else's place in New York, another buyer, after maybe a month. I believe I was also being drugged with alcohol. She would take me out for coffee and call it secret dates. This was the first time I saw her. I went back when I was probably almost 13, and I'm fairly certain I was actually enrolled in classes at her college somehow. My parents pulled strings with that. Family kept mentioning that I was autistic and had an IQ of 140, which is true, but was used to help me get in. I don't think I even completed a full semester worth before leaving. I was obviously too young to be there, but my family billed me as a genius. It was all so she could have more access to me. The abuse continued in the same ways, except the rape became penetrative as I was just starting puberty, and she would drop me and severely mentally abuse me, saying I was either having a nightmare or I was dead. The next morning I would usually believe I just had a bad dream. She wrote a song about our relationship on her album Lush that she released as a student project. The album itself gives me horrible flashbacks, but one of the tracks is called Pearl Diver and it is about this. She told me that personally. Excerpt from the song Pearl Diver that I find particularly disturbing. Oh Hunter, if you didn't want the beautiful so badly, perhaps you would have found it in your spirit singing softly. But Hunter, you were human too. And don't forget and go safely. And I will live without you, though the struggle will be daily. So just straight off the bat, before we go into the subsequent destruction of this allegation, there are just some massively blaring red flags. First of all, no, you were not 13 in college. And if you were, that would have drawn so much attention to you that it would have been very undesirable for a supposed ring. Also, the humble brag of having 140 IQ amidst one of the most disturbing child sex trafficking allegations against a modern celebrity that I've ever read. That's very good. Good job for that. We could literally nitpick this for hours, but it's not really necessary to do so because a Pitchfork journalist actually did this at the time in a really lengthy Tumblr text post just completely debunking everything that Jane outlined in her allegation. The journalist's name is Peyton Thomas, and the same day that this long allegation dropped, August 13th, he also released the said long text post that we're going to go over now. So again, this post is quite extensive, so I'm going to link it below so that you can read it fully if you want to, but what I'm going to do is highlight the main important chunks of the post for the sake of this video. Peyton starts by introducing himself and then alleging that Jane had sent him an ask on Tumblr stating that she has been sexually by Mitski and inviting him to DM her for more information. Peyton also promised Jane confidentiality, which is why for this entire blog post you will not see her name nor her blog mentioned anywhere. Peyton then claims that he received an email from this person totaling in at over 1,000 words, which he then proceeded to dissect with another journalist, and that he then decided to not respond to this person and to block them on Tumblr to discourage further contact. He then claimed, "I'm going to say this as clearly and unambiguously as I can. I have extensively fact-checked this person's claim, and I have spoken to Mitski's manager about these claims. It is now very clear to me that this story is a fabrication." These following reasons were provided for the debunking of Jane's allegation. Number 1, the email contained information that this person has not shared on their public blog, including information that is categorically false. Number 2, though this person purports to have known Mitski for nearly a decade, their email misstated a number of basic, public and easily verifiable biographical facts about Mitski. Number 3, this person provided no documentation for any of their claims, nor any evidence that they had ever met Mitski, corresponded with her or spent time with her. Number 4, this person has publicly claimed to have been raped by Mitski at a concert in Memphis, Tennessee on July 10th, 2015. They claim to have been 14 years old at the time. They expanded upon this claim in their email to me. However, Greg Rutkin, a musician who performed with Mitski at that concert, has debunked this claim. Furthermore, the concert in question was open only to people over the age of 18. Venues are generally strident about age restrictions, and it is highly unlikely that a 14-year-old could have attended this specific concert. Number 5. This person has publicly claimed to have been repeatedly raped by Mitski during Mitski's time at Purchase College. They claim to have been between 9 and 11 years old at the time. When asked by another Tumblr user how this was possible, that is, how a 9-year-old could have attended college, they claimed that they did not attend Purchase College but merely lived in the area. However, in their email to me, they explicitly claimed that they had been formally enrolled in classes at Purchase College at the age of 10 or 11. We saw that too, the discrepancy, when we went over the long allegation that they posted on their Tumblr. They provided no documentation for this claim. I mention this detail only because it directly contradicts their public statements on the matter. I actually couldn't find a copy of Greg's tweet debunking the allegation, but the replies that were left up are corroborating the fact that he was debunking it. Peyton then concludes his post by stating that he thinks that the myriad of issues that you see throughout Jane's allegation are a product of it being an outright fabrication. In light of these and other issues that arose during my review and fact-checking of this person's account, it is my firm belief that this story is a fabrication. I do not write this lightly. As I have said, I myself am a survivor of sex, and I'm a strident believer in taking claims of sex seriously. I will not speculate as to this person's motivations or mental health, and I would advise others to do the same. This will be my only post on the matter. This text post was released the same day as Mitski's statement, which we've already been over in the beginning, so it feels reductive to recount it. These two things in conjunction made the general public feel very suspicious and interrogative of Jane's claims, and very receptive towards Peyton and Mitski's explanations. There were some people on Tumblr, obviously, because of course they were on Tumblr, who were mindlessly bolstering Jane's false allegation, but on the whole, people were not buying it. I'm just going to include some screenshots here from the Wayback Machine of tweets responding to Mitski's statement to show what the general sentiment was at the time. So following all of this, Jane actually issued a response on her blog to Mitski's statement, which reads as follows. She issued a statement. Now I guess people are going to just not care in a week about this, and it will be considered Tumblr drama or whatever. This will follow me forever, it seems. It already did, but it's worse now. I've been beaten within an inch of my fucking life over speaking out before. Thanks for getting this media coverage, y'all, and breaking my confidence and calling her fucking manager. Like, oh my god, y'all have no clue. I think we have to address the obvious elephant in the room looming over this whole video, which is Jane okay? No, she is not, or was not. I haven't attempted to reach out to this individual in any capacity because I feel that this is a situation that should probably remain to the confines of obscure internet lore. But I do hope that this person is doing better now than they were in 2019. I've blurred out their name in every screenshot. This is because I don't want anybody to attempt to find this person. I think it's best that we just let sleeping dogs lie. In a Reddit post made at the time to help in the efforts to debunk the allegations, a Redditor actually found a comment that Jane left in a subreddit called DXM. DXM is a subreddit dedicated to discussing drug use. So I couldn't actually find a screenshot of Jane leaving this comment. I think I did see a screenshot, which I forgot to screenshot because I'm an idiot. And it was the same username that she used on Tumblr. But obviously that's just circumstantial evidence, so take this with a grain of salt again, and I'm really sorry that I can't show you the direct screenshot. In my experience, high-dose poly will stay in your system for days and can trigger a psychotic episode very easily, especially if you redose. I lost my mind for literally months after abusing a lot of Delsim. I became convinced I was at the centre of a CIA brainwashing conspiracy, that my dad worked for the NSA, that I was abducted as a child, and other assorted shit that makes absolutely no rational sense. Be careful with more than one 5-ounce bottle of Delsim. Scary shit. I don't say this to be vindictive, but I would argue that somebody who has put themselves in a drug-induced psychotic episode is not a very reliable narrator, especially when said psychotic episode has before led them to believe that they are at the centre of a CIA brainwashing conspiracy and that their dad is a secret agent, etc. I would probably actually hesitate to highlight this screenshot in any other abuse allegation because it would seem like I'm just trying to like decredit the accuser as much as possible. But I think that for this specific story, her supposed drug use is relevant moving forward, so that's why I've highlighted it. In another Reddit post made a few months after the allegation, a Redditor actually found Jane's new blog in which she posted a retraction of the entire allegation. I am not sure how this Redditor verified that this person is Jane because it's a different username and I couldn't see any link between the two. If I had to guess, I'd say that Jane may be linked to this new blog on her old blog before deactivating it. I'm not sure. The circumstantial evidence that this is Jane is there, so I believe it, but again, I'm sorry, another grain of salt, can't be sure that this is Jane. This was really hard to look into because like every blog, website, article associated with it has been like deleted. So that's why I've had to say sorry so many times. Sorry. So anyways, on this new blog, supposedly run by Jane, she issued a retraction. She received an anonymous ask on Tumblr which states, "I'm sorry for what's going on, I hope you're well. Are you retracting other things you've said in the past because of hard drugs or delusions as well? Not attacking you, just curious, I believe what you say." Jane responds with, "Yes, I am doing well now. I wish Mitski and Liza, I don't know who that is, sorry, the best of lives that they could live. I hope they are happy doing what they do, and I hope they are able to move forward in life from these experiences that no doubt were traumatizing for all parties involved. I wish I could turn back the clock, but that's easier said than done. Much love to you all." There isn't really a satisfying ending to give this story because it sort of just fizzled out on its own. It just became like a weird, obscure footnote in Mitski's musical history. And I think that's because the debunking was so successful because it was a crock of shit that everybody just like read it and was like, oh, that's weird, and then moved on from it. I mean, that's a valid response, but I still think that it was something that needed to be told. Please do not attempt to contact the person who made the allegation. I don't want to upset this individual by making this video, hence why I kept them completely anonymous. I just wanted to recount the whole situation. This video was purely for entertainment purposes, and I don't want to drag all this shit back up for them. The video's over now, and I just wanted to talk about myself a teeny bit, if that would be okay. My name's Maddie, and I want to start making videos just in this vein generally, like weird internet happenings that I find interesting. I have a notes app list of all the things that I want to cover, and it's not just stuff like this. I kind of want to talk about like weird books, movies, that kind of stuff in general. I've watched YouTube since I was like 9, as probably most of you have too, and I've always wanted to throw my hat in the ring with making content just for like a fun side hobby. I also have a Twitter account, which I'll link in the description, which you could follow if you'd like to. Right now it's just really stupid shit that I found funny. But in the future I'll use it to comment on videos that I'm making and maybe gauge audience interest in potential topics. That's everything from me. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far, and I'll see you in the next one, which I don't know when will be. Bye.